This time of year, Mount Charleston is prone to wildfires. It was 6 years ago the Carpenter 1 fire was the largest to occur in decades. And because of that fire, NV Energy is working on long-term strategies to harden our electric grid, replace wood poles with metal, and install wildfire alert cameras. But as Sally Jaramillo reports, climate and changes in climate are calling for something that can be done almost immediately.
The risks of droughts, of monsoons in our state are growing.
Compared to a few years ago, right now in southern Nevada, the drought conditions and the dryness aren't as severe. But 6 years ago this time, they were. It sparked the Carpenter 1 fire on Mount Charleston.
It's a reminder that the risk of fires and wildfires in that area are a real risk.
NV Energy Senior Vice President of Operations Kevin Garrity says they are making sure they manage the risk associated with our infrastructure. That's where Public Safety Management, or PSOM, comes to play.
Basically, making sure trees and debris and dead trees are as far away from our infrastructure as possible. We're also doing an inspection of all our services up in the Mount Charleston area.
For the first time this year, NV Energy will look at managing the risk of fire by de-energizing infrastructure.
In this case, it is by a perceived risk, and we will actually shut off, in Mount Charleston's case, upwards of 400 customers in response to the risk of the fuel on the ground.
NV Energy will contact impacted customers directly at least 48 hours in advance.
And while most people think, power lines having some type of failure and causing an ignition, a bigger cause of that is actually debris that gets up into our power lines when it gets windy.
And it is that debris that gets into the lines and catches fire, once falling to the ground, making it widespread.
The California utilities and their regulators in California really required utilities to examine the risk of their infrastructure, and at times when that risk is at its greatest, to actually de-energize. So we're not the first to do this as utility, but we are a fast follower.
Garrity says they are looking at the condition of the fuel on the ground, how much is there, and how dry it is, and how windy it's going to be. Be
prepared to have water, have emergency communications. Make sure you know how to open your garage door.
Sally Jaramillo, 8 News Now.
This past legislative session passed Senate Bill 329. That will require a utility company to come up with a natural disaster protection plan, which is what NV Energy is currently doing.